All right,
One.
everybody. Well, welcome and thank you so much for being here today. I think we are now live on YouTube with all of our friends watching. So I want to welcome you all. My name is Jess. Thank you so much for tuning in today. We are here to talk to the cast and crew of What Happened to Karen. So thank you so much for tuning in here on the MYM channel. We are talking about a short that is absolutely meaningful, and I can't wait for you to meet everybody in just a moment. The film has had hundreds of thousands of views already. Clips have gone up on TikTok. People have viewed it, talked about it. And so today you get to talk to the cast and crew. As always with the YouTube Live, there's a chat function. Please be sure to use that chat function. We want to hear where you're coming from. We want to hear where you're tuning in from. We want to hear your questions, your comments, how you felt about the short. So maybe we can just test it out real quick now. If you want to just drop into the chat where you're tuning in from, so we can see, because as always with MYM work, there's people tuning in from everywhere. So What Happened to Karen is an absolutely amazing short film that talks about the real life experiences of Black young people in London and the UK. And so what a better time, or is there a better time to have this conversation? I don't think so. So without further ado, as you're hopefully all telling us where you're tuning in from so we can connect with you in that way, I'm so excited to have people here with me, because you didn't come to hear me talk. You came to hear our cast and crew. So today we have Carlos. You hear Carlos? Say hey. You're going to have to unmute yourself so people can see you, because I think they can only see one screen.
Can you hear me?
Hello, yes.
Hey guys, hello, it's Carlos here. How you doing?
Good. So you are the director, one of the directors and writers. We've got Cass here, the other director and writer. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Hey everyone, thanks so much for tuning in, and I can't wait to have this conversation with you all.
Amazing. Then we've got Lolly, DOP and editor. How are you doing, Lolly?
Hi everyone. Thank you guys for tuning in.
Amazing. So far, everyone's in London, right? I should have asked you all where you're coming in from, but you're all coming from London. Fantastic. Then we've got Geraldine with us today, who's obviously a key character. How are you doing, Geraldine?
Hi, I'm good. Hope everyone's well. Yeah.
Good. Fantastic. We cannot wait to hear a little bit more from you as the conversation unfolds. And then I'm so excited to present some of our young cast to you as well, whom you've obviously seen in the short. So we've got Sam here, who played Solomon. How you doing, Sam? You gonna unmute yourself? Are you doing well?
Yeah, I'm doing fine, thanks.
Amazing. Thank you for being with us. We've got Nassar, who's with us today. How are you doing?
Hi, I'm good. Hi, everybody.
Can you show us the t-shirt you're wearing, please?
Yeah, what happened to Karen?
Look at this, representing. Okay, we're gonna have to find out where people can get a shirt like that if they want to. We've got Ariana with us today. How are you doing?
Hi, I'm doing good.
Good, fantastic. And last but most certainly not least, we have Jayshaun with us today as well. How are you?
I'm good.
Good. You're also repping the shirt. Let us see. Nice, fantastic. Okay, great. Well, as we are getting into the conversation, we wanted to start with what we call a quick fire round. Everybody who's on the chat, and I hope as you're watching on YouTube you can see them, has prepared names on pieces of paper. So to get to know people a little bit, we're going to ask a couple of questions to hear from your experience on set and get to know you all a little bit better. So does everybody have their names ready to go? Are you all ready? You ready for the questions?
Yeah.
Good to go. We'll get it done.
As we're preparing, I just want to say hi to someone just said they're tuning in from Belgium. Someone just said they're here from Lincoln in the UK. So nice to have you all with us. All right, quick fire round. Question number 1. Who on set was the notorious latecomer? Don't think too long. And you can use your own name. Okay. Is everybody using their own name?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I put my own name.
Don't think too long. Okay. Lolly, who are you picking? You got to pick someone. So far, like.
I don't know. I know there was one day so I'm gonna.
And Geraldine, who are you picking? You don't know? You don't know? Okay, Geraldine is not picking anyone. It looks like it's between Lolly and Jayshaun. I'm gonna need to understand, Lolly, you were thinking, you said there was one time where you were late. Explain to us, how late were you and what
It
happened?
was the first day, and I had some issues with the trains, and that was the day it was raining. In London, every time it's extreme weather,
Yeah.
something happens on the train. That was the only day I remember being late, though.
Okay. Sam
I
seems
just can't think of anyone.
moments. Sam, what were you thinking of? Why did you pick Lolly?
Oh no, because I mean, like when we was filming, I guess she came kind of late. It wasn't like late, but she
How
came.
can I be late when I've got the camera?
Yeah, exactly. Waiting for you. It's okay on me.
Okay, we don't want to like stir the pot here. I just wanted to, get a bit of information. Okay, question number 2 before somebody gets offended. Question number 2. Who had the weirdest eating habits on set? Okay.
Oh no, I know this one.
All right, pick those names. Come on, guys. From Croydon says hello. You're not far from where I am. Nice to see you representing the South. Come on, everybody. I need to see those names. Keep the names up until we're done.
I don't know.
Sam,
Ariana.
the name of someone
Ariana.
on this call. Ariana. I'm seeing a lot of Ariana. I'm seeing Geraldine pick herself, and I'm seeing a couple of Nassar. Okay, first I want to hear about Ariana's eating habits. What happened? What was going on?
I don't know. Someone explained it to me actually. I want to know.
Why did you pick Ariana? Nassar, did you pick Ariana?
Yeah,
Why?
because I remember on set she said that she doesn't like to eat things together. She likes to eat it like separately, like one by one. Yeah.
I don't make my food while eating, so I like eat it like separately. So I'll eat the rice or the salad or the chicken like that, not mix it up together.
Do you know what? I know people who eat like that, and I cannot get my head around it. But so I feel Geraldine, though, why did you pick yourself? What about your eating habits? You're muted now. Unmute yourself.
I don't know. I don't eat meat, so I'm a bit
Yeah.
fussy like that. So I thought it's not that helpful sometimes when you rock up on set and you haven't told anyone. But there was stuff for me to eat, and it was fine. It was lovely. But it's always a bit odd.
Nice. Okay, so Ariana, weirdest eating habits. I do know somebody else who does that, and I also agree that it's a little bit weird, but we love you anyway. Question number 3. Who was the set jokester? Who was the person always having a joke? Oh, this is happening quickly. Okay. This 1, 2, 3. Okay, Jayshaun, I'm sorry, but you are winning this hands down. People did not have to think. It just happened. I need to understand what it is about Jayshaun that made him the set jokester. Lolly, why did you pick Jayshaun?
I don't know. It's just like, so I don't know. Don't ask me. I don't actually know.
Yes.
Can I tell you, right?
Can I tell you?
So yes, Jayshaun was the jokester. We're laughing about it now, but I wanted to throw this child off of a balcony, okay? because he is so fidgety, and like when Jayshaun is in Jayshaun land, that's it. And like you have to kind of coax him back. So now we laugh and we love him, and it's great. But believe me, when you're against the clock, and I'm telling you,
I need to understand what Jayshaun land looks like. You picked yourself even. Why'd you pick yourself?
Unmute yourself.
You're muted. You have to unmute yourself, sweetheart. There we go.
Should have picked Samuel. He thought he was the funniest, but it was
Don't get distracted now. Tell us why you picked yourself. What's funny about you? What is Jayshaun land like?
I can make people laugh without even trying.
Okay. I feel like we're gonna have to pull that out of you. Does anyone else need to add why they picked Jayshaun for this? Because it was pretty much unanimous.
To be fair, Jayshaun, it's what he comes out with. It's what he comes out with. We'll be talking about something on topic, and then like he just did, just gets distracted, and then boom, he's gone. Once you lost him, he's gone. He's just a bag of beef.
Amazing. Okay, we've got two more then. Jayshaun, I feel like I'm going to come back to you throughout our conversation because we know it's going to get heavy, so we might need some of that energy to bring us back. But for now, question number 4. Who was the greatest coffee addict on set?
I didn't write her. I didn't write her name down, but I'll say Naomi.
But from who's here? From who's here?
Oh, Lolly.
There's a lot of cats going on as well. I see Lolly. Okay, Lolly, hands down, Lolly. Lolly, how many coffees a day?
I have to have a coffee like in the morning because we used to have early-ish mornings, and definitely after lunch because I'm slumped and I need that kick.
But that's not that bad.
Yeah, it's not bad, but it's just like every day. Like I drank more coffee than every average person on set. So.
Fair. Okay, I get that. Last but certainly not least, we have one more quick fire round question. Please protect your feelings. This one could hurt. I hope you're ready, but we need to be honest. The people have to know, so we need to give the people what the people want. Who had the hardest time remembering their lines? Be honest. Don't look at what everybody else is picking. Be real.
If Kamadi was here, it would have been him, but it was me. I forgot my script.
That's
And I
true.
couldn't practice.
Okay. I'm seeing a lot of Jayshaun for sure. So it seems like you know for yourself. Yep. But Lolly is picking Nassar, so I need to understand why, because everybody else is saying Jayshaun, and I feel like that might have something to do with the jokester connection. Maybe.
I just recall the bit where they're walking towards the shop, just outside the unit base, yeah, and having to do that take so many times. So sorry.
No, sorry, because when we was on set, I was daydreaming a bit. So like whilst we was walking, I forgot that somebody said something, and then I was like, oh, what? And then we had to retake.
That's amazing. Okay, so I feel like somewhere between Nassar and Jayshaun, we have a winner on that one. But clearly, you ended up remembering all of your lines because we've all seen what happened to Karen. And so now we're going to get right into the conversation. If you just joined us on YouTube Live, thank you so much for being here. I'm talking to the cast and crew about what happened to Karen, and we want to hear from you. So if you had another question you felt like we should have asked in the quickfire round, send it in the chat. We're going to get to ask it at some point, but now we're going to get into a little bit more of the origin story of the short. I want to start with you, Carlos and Cass. I've obviously had a chance to talk to you a little bit already. And when we had our first conversation, I realized from you all that you, in fact, did not know each other before you started working on this project. So tell us a little bit about how this all came about. How did you get started on the project? Why did you want to be on the project? And how did things unfold from there? Carlos, do you want to get started?
Okay, so for me, it was a great pleasure being on this project, a major pleasure. I knew of Cass because he came to my school, the Brit School, like a few years back, but I didn't know I was going to be working with Cass. But if I go from the beginning, it was like a random Sunday afternoon, I think. I got a message on my phone saying they're looking for a young director to work with a group of kids from Brixton. So I was just like, okay, it's coming out of lockdown. Why not? Instantly,
but you felt spoken to when they said young. Is that what you...
Yes. Yes, because I'm may not look it, but I'm 19. So when I saw young, I thought, okay, this is where I could take that box. I came to work. I instantly got the text. I called that number straight away, and I had an interview the next day. It was all very quick. It was all very rapid. So it was all over like a series of like 3 days. Went to the interview. I met a lady called Naomi. She was amazing. Made me feel quite welcome. She explained to me that in Brixton, there were like a lot of young black children. And I was like, okay, I'm a young black guy. I don't mind working with young black people. Let's make magic. So that was kind of my unique selling point. That was my kind of thing there. And then it was very quick in terms of I got home, I got a phone call saying it was between me and another person, but we need to make it work somehow to make it like happen. Cass can explain this half of the story. Kind of intertwines with it. So
yes, Cass, go for it.
Okay, so I got the same text. It was a very widely shared text message, and a very unusual way to hear about a directing job. And so I responded. I called Naomi, and then I had my interview the next day as well. Now I went over to the office, right, to the Chips office, and we had a chat, and we really got along. And like Carla said, she's very warm, very welcoming. And then she said to me, God, I don't know what to do now. And I was like, what do you mean? She goes like, well, there's this other guy, Carlos, and then there's you, and you're both absolutely amazing. Like, what do we, like, I don't know what to do. And then I said, like, tell me more about Carlos. And she goes, well, he's young, he's 18 years old, and so on and so forth. And my background is, I've done lots of mentoring over the years. So I thought to myself, okay, well, he's a young guy, he's a young director. In my head, I was like, I don't mind splitting the role.
Yeah.
And splitting the money. And then so Naomi said, she said, okay, I don't know what to do. You tell me what to do.
Yeah.
Like, what?
Yeah.
I was like, what do you mean? I said, fine. I said, you know what? Let's split it. Let's split the role. And I met Carlos the following day, and then we did a workshop. So when I got there, Carlos had already done like games with the young people, and just like icebreakers and things. And then we sat around in a big circle, and then we just started talking about day-to-day life, talking about what life is like in the community. There were some pretty dry topics that came up, like peer pressure, blah, but I was like, no, we need to really talk.
Why is that dry? Why is that dry?
Because you know what? I mean, I remember being back in school and watching VHS tapes about, peer pressure and why it's not good, and I was just like, we can't be that, we're living in a very, very crazy time. And now was a time for us to have very important conversations. Yeah. So I remember just sitting around and just asking the kids about their experiences, after school culture, what do they do? So everything you see in the film, them going to the shop and things like that, it's very much based on how these guys live their lives. And then the actual subject matter, I asked the kids when we sat around in a circle, I said, who's met a Karen before? And the room erupted.
I've met Karen. I've got a story for Karen. Yeah. All of that.
and then Samuel and Nassar can tell you a bit more about this later. But then Samuel and Nassar shared a story about when they had gone out as a group, and something happened, and I said, well, this is it. We have a story here. We have something to tell. And then so Carlos and I drove. Big up Carlos, man. He drove me home every single time. So we got in the car, and it was kind of like our therapy moments where we would like talk to each other and figure out what we were going to do. So, he had like some notes of just like bullet points of the topics that came up. And then the next morning, I called him at about 6 o'clock in the morning, and I said,
5:30.
5:30, yeah.
Sorry, Cass. What are you doing calling people at 5:30 in the morning?
Wake up, we have work to do.
That's literally what he says. He goes, Carlos, we have work to do. I'm thinking, who is this? It's 5 a.m. What is work? And then I'm like, oh, obviously, quirky foot. Oh, yeah, so, it's Cass. Hi, how you doing? 5:30 in the morning.
But the reason why I did that is because, number one, we had a very tight deadline. We had 10 days in total, to write this thing, do all the production, the cast, the additional casting. There was so much to do. So Carlos and I collaborated on the writing of it. And how it worked was we shared a document with each other that was visible to both of us. And so Carlos's job was to break down the different bullet points and the topics. And then I would then transform those topics into dialogue. And then we would then do a read through with each other. Yeah. But what we did was we wrote half of it deliberately. We just wrote half.
Right.
So that we could test it with the kids, and also to make sure that linguistically it was accurate. You know, even though I work with young people, Carlos works with young people, doesn't necessarily mean that I'm going to know the exact speak. Yeah. Fortunately, we were on the money with the language. And so we wrote the rest of it the following morning at 6:30, 5:30. And that's how the script came together. We shared it with the young people. we did like a table read,
Yeah.
you know, and it was very new for them. It was definitely a first time for all of them. So that was nice to see as well, because I had never directed children before.
Right.
Yeah, and it was, looking back, it was very, very, very inspiring, very powerful. It was great, but then it was very testing at the time. There was even a day when I stopped talking to the kids.
Okay, I'm gonna interrupt you here before you tell us about that. Before you tell us about that, because you both have told us now, and I mean, it sounds incredible. There's so much work that will have gone into it, and you had such a tight turnaround. But I want to hear from Samuel, Ariana, Nassar, and Jayshaun. I want to hear from you. How did it feel when these two guys rocked up, told you we're going to do this working group together? How did you feel when you first met them? What was the vibe? And before we get into that, maybe, because Cass just mentioned the Chips office, Sam, do you want to tell us what Chips is all about? Like, what's the Chips office, and what did that have to do with anything?
Oh, so basically, Chips is a youth foundation that helped us to actually make this film, basically. And what happened was, it was during the first lockdown. We were sitting at home, and we was on a Zoom, and thinking of ideas to spark up our out of lockdown celebrations. So then we all came up with the idea to film a short film, and so that's kind of what we did. And then here we are now.
Right. So Chips got you all together as part of that youth foundation, and then that's how you connected. I guess they financed it. Amazing. So then you found yourself in a room with Cass and Carlos. How was that experience? Ariana, how was that for you when you first met them? Were invited to participate in this whole project?
When I first met them, I was like a bit shy at first. Like, I wouldn't really speak a lot, because I'm that type of person. Like, when I meet new people, I'm a bit shy and I'm just quiet. But then, like, when we started to, like, how do I say this? Like, practice our lines and everything, and they were talking about the idea of making a short film, and that's when I was taking it seriously with everyone else as well. So that's when I'm like opened up more. And sometimes before we even like practice like our lines, they would do like some warm-up games. Like, I forgot how it went. Some of them, like, you have to like move your like, you have to move your body in it, like 1, 2, 3, 4, like, to like warm you up and have that energy, because in the morning as well, everyone's tired, isn't it? So yeah, so we opened up and we asked questions about each other and to introduce ourselves as well. And yeah, that's how it went.
Nassar, how was it for you?
For me, well, meeting like Cass and Carlos, like in that situation, like, it was very nice to know that, you know, that two people were taking time, like, out of their days to like come and like do help us, basically.
Yeah.
If that makes sense, yeah. So it was very nice just to see that they took time out of their days just to come and help us. Yeah.
That's amazing. And had any of you been in front of the camera before? Jayshaun, how about you? Had you ever acted before this?
Well, like, yes and no. Because like, I used to do YouTube and I stopped. And then, like, I wasn't camera shy because I did nothing to worry about.
So you say you were not camera shy. But did you find it easy to act in front of the camera with everybody else when it got to it?
Yeah, like, there was no temptation of looking into the camera. And I did it at once or twice.
I think the reception is slightly off, but I think you were saying that there was the temptation to look into the camera. Is that what you said?
Yeah.
For everyone watching, why is that a temptation? Were you not supposed to? I mean, this sounds like a silly question, but Carlos, explain to us why that was a thing.
That was such a hard thing at a workshop. So constantly I'd be like, okay, guys, the main thing we're filming is you hit your mark and you don't look into the camera. Because if you look into the camera, it breaks the world, it breaks reality, it breaks you're connecting with you're breaking like the fourth wall. And obviously, in a lot of films, people don't know that the camera is literally, let's say this is the camera, like up close, far away, whatever. So it's really hard to not go, oh, something's following me type thing. And to that, you have to pretend as if the camera is just another person in the scene and ignore it.
Yeah. As we're talking about the process, Taz just asked in the chat, he just said, what was the budget of the film, like including props and things like that? So at this point, you've workshopped it now, you've cast it. Do you know the budget? Is the budget something that you expected it was going to be? Do you have to pull strings? What is that whole situation looking like? Maybe Carlos or Lolly, maybe you want to jump in here as well.
All I know is when I got the job, Naomi made it very, very clear, like we're on a low budget, because Chips is, I think it's a charity, a Christian peace charity.
Yeah.
They made it very clear from the jump that we are on a small budget. So a lot of the stuff that we did was like people gave it to us. So it was like we had to film outside because we couldn't rent a hall, or like we had to do what we could. The reality of it is we didn't have like $1 million budget, but we had enough to help us get through the process and do the process the best as we could.
Right. Lolly, you are DOP and editor on the film. At what point of this process did you get involved? So, of course, Cass and Carlos just told us they were workshopping things with the young people, with the cast. At what point did you get involved? Was it cast already at that point? Tell us a bit about your process and how it was working with young people who had never been in front of the camera. Oh, you're muted.
Yeah, so I came on board again. I received a message in one of the WhatsApp groups that I'm in, and yeah, I instantly reached out, and my first point of contact was with Naomi, the producer, or one of the producers. And then at that point, we had a chat on Zoom, and it was very much like she needed someone to film it, because I think at that point she'd already spoken to Cass and Carlos.
Yeah.
So it was now a thing where it was like, okay, cool. I told her about all the equipment I've got and how we can pull it together, and she was super excited, like from the jump. And then, like literally, I think the following week I came in, and I just remember meeting Carlos and Cass in the Chips office. And
before this,
sorry,
you know Carlos and Cass before this?
No, I didn't. I didn't at all. So we all just met. And then we went and we did a recce. So a recce is like a location scout. So we walked around the estate. Kamika, amazing. She was one of the producers. She like gave us a proper tour of each and every corner of the estate. We walked around and we kind of just got a sense of like the different places. Like while I was walking around, I was thinking, okay, yeah, it'd be great to do a shot here, like, you know, kind of tracking where the kids would walk to, and like, yeah, just kind of get that idea in my mind. So that's when I came in, and then I think like a couple of days later, because I was filming another project all amongst all of this, a couple of days later we came in and we did a table read, and that's when I met the rest of the cast. And when I saw the kids, I was like, wow, like they've got energy. They've got tons of it, which was really nice, and it was so inspiring just to see like young people doing something very positive.
Yeah. How was the dynamic of it being young people who had never been in front of the camera before?
They did really well. They did really, really well. Yeah, I mean, obviously it was like a mix between kind of like, because I've got siblings that are just a bit younger, a bit older, sorry, just a tad bit older than the kids. And it was a mix between being like an older sister and actually being like a professional, because at the same time you didn't want to like overly, you wanted them to have fun with it, you know, but also give them the reality of what it's like to be on a set, so that they can get a real idea of like, okay, cool, if you want to be an actor and this is what you want to do, this is how it really goes down. So I feel like we kind of met in the middle, and we kind of gave them a bit of everything. But yeah, like Cass said earlier, there was a point where Cass was in director mode and he said no more.
Can I just add to that real quick? I want to say, from when Lolly joined, yes, it was a bit nicer. It was a little bit nicer. The first couple of stages, I don't think they actually took Cass and I as seriously as towards the end. And I only say that lighthearted, like they don't know who we are. We were replacing the person that they were familiar with. It was like a whole new environment to them. And then when Lolly did come with her camera and her equipment, that's when they were like, okay, it's about to get real.
Yeah.
Like, there was, I'm not gonna cap to you. There was a whole phase where we had to really try and build that relationship with them. But yeah.
But I'm gonna add to that. But that's why I said that there was a time when I stopped talking to the kids, because I said to them, look, okay, like, I'm not going to let you misuse this opportunity. And also, I'm not going to have you take me outside of myself. So don't speak to me. And then when you guys have it together and you're serious and you're focused, then you can even breathe on me, right? And so by the end of the day, you know, because I went outside to go and see how they were getting on, and Carlos was doing his thing with them. And then I literally was just using sign language. I did not speak because I was like, this is so important for us to get down. So don't speak to me. I just used my sign language. And then at the end, when we were debriefing, that's when, you know, they really they got it. And Samuel and Nassar and Ariana and Jayshaun, everybody individually apologized for not taking it as seriously. So we were able to create a smoother working relationship that way. It wasn't very much approved. My method wasn't very much approved at first, right? But
absolutely.
but I know how to work with my people, man. And it's like, yes, we've got to get it done.
Very militant, very militant.
We came together in the end, and that actually leads me to a couple of questions that the audience have asked us. By the way, if you've just joined us, thank you so much for being here. We're talking about what happened to Karen, the short film that hopefully you've seen by now. If not, you know what to do. You need to subscribe to MYM and you need to go watch it after this conversation. But Harley Lynn was asking a question, because obviously we started talking about the process now. At that point, Cass, of what you just described, I'm assuming everything would have already been cast. How did the casting process work? Harley Lynn is asking, was this an open call film or was this a selection call only?
So we obviously the young people who are in the call now, we actually call these the core four.
Okay.
So these four and the rest of the young people, they were part of the CHIPS project already. And then we had to cast the shopkeeper, who Jayshaun actually managed to convince the shopkeeper to let us use the shop, and to have him play the role. And then Geraldine came in to read, and that was, I believe that was a message that went out. And Geraldine came to read, and Geraldine is so sweet, yeah. Like, she came through, and she looked at the script. And she goes, how do you want me to do this? And I said, go to the most uncomfortable place you can think of. Because we're talking about race here, right? And she's a white lady, I'm a black man. I said, go to the most uncomfortable place you can and then read from there. And then she read it. She did a really good job, with a slight bit of hesitation, because I think she didn't want us to think that she was really like that. And then so she read it, and we was literally standing opposite one another, and I was like, "Oh, that's really good. Thank you very much. Like, it was really good." And she was like, "Oh," like she was so like cringed out because she had to say those words. Yeah. But she as we went on, it got easier and easier. But it was definitely a wonderful casting, a delight to work with, absolute delight to work with. And the kids enjoyed working with her as well. And you know, the kids actually said, the day after we shot with her, I said to Jayshaun, I said, what was it like filming with Geraldine? He goes like, oh, it was interesting. He goes, it's just weird because I know she's not really like that. Yeah. So it was a bit weird, you know. Yeah. So yeah, it was great. It was great.
To answer, yes, just real quick to answer Haley Lynn, to answer your question, it was not open call. It was all part of the process of the CHIPS programming, except for a couple of other things. Carlos, go ahead and add, and then we really want to hear from Geraldine. So I'm going to come to you in a second, Geraldine.
Yeah, no, just to second what Cass was saying, there was, from Geraldine, there was so much apologizing after every single scene. So sorry, guys, so sorry. Because really and truly, when we met Geraldine, honestly, she's the kindest person. She's the kindest person to work with. And it was so hard. It would be hard for any person to step into that shoes. And I commend anyone who does. But I think with Cass and I as well, in terms of casting, everything had to happen very, very quickly. So by like day 3 or 4, the script was done. So we spent 2 hours. We created the whole script. And by then we had to know, okay, cool. who's playing what, who's doing what kind of when. And then it was all kind of like, what do we want the thing to look like? Who's Karen? What's the best vision for Karen? So Geraldine even had to do her hair differently, had to do her lipstick differently, to like put on this whole mask, this facade, just because honestly, Geraldine is not anything as to be. But
Geraldine,
Yeah.
this is a very good moment in the conversation to come to you and to hear from you. We just saw, I don't know if everybody in the audience saw, but I just saw your reaction. You're covering your face. Before you go into how it was for you, why did you read in for the role? How did you hear about it? And what was it about the role that you thought, maybe I should go do this?
Well, I heard from Naomi about it, and I thought, yeah, I can do that. It sounds like I knew it was to do with chips, and she explained a bit about chips, and I thought that's something I'd like to be involved with. And I went and I got the script, and it's not a part I'm used to playing. That's not what I'm usually sort of more bubbly and silly and comedy and stuff like that, much more say than something as serious as that. So it was, I think, what really made it for me were those wonderful children that are sitting here now, because at the beginning, I mean, Carlos were being really nice and Cass were being really nice about me, but I don't think I did a terribly good job at the beginning, because I was just saying, I'd learnt the lines, that's the simple bit, and I was just doing the lines. And I just remember in that room of the chips place doing that and thinking, okay, I got through it. I know I can get through the lines, which is always my first worry initially. And I thought, okay, that's all right. Now I've just got to do the acting bit. And in the shop, because the first time I did it, I just thought, oh, so horrible. I'm being so horrible. And these kids are so adorable. And in the end, I just thought the only way to do it justice, do the story justice, and to make it worthwhile is to really, really just play that woman for all her hideousness. And I just did that, and I knew I had to do that quickly, because I knew we just had a time before lunch to do it. So I just knew I had to do it. And bless them, at the end I kept saying, is that all right? I'm so excited, the children, because I just thought that I'm just being so horrible. But obviously they knew that, because they knew the script. So yeah, so that was horrible. But I did love doing it. The job was great. I mean, Lolly, Cass, Carlos, they're all brilliant. Naomi was brilliant. The children were like professional child actors. I've said that before, and that is true. So
amazing. Big up the kids. Were you familiar with this concept of Karen? I mean, I know the name wasn't there at the start. The actual name, your character's name. What was your character's name?
My character was called Nicola. So it was Nicola, but I'm meant to be a Karen, and I wasn't until I asked my kids. I said, I'm a Karen, and they just fell about laughing. And so now I am Karen in their phones. It's not mum anymore, it's Karen. So, and the school WhatsApp group, like I'm in a parent WhatsApp group for one of my boys' schools, and he calls it the Karen's WhatsApp group now. He says, oh, what's on the Karen's WhatsApp group now? And I say, oh no, your school set, and so it's just a massive joke now. I am Karen.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Of course, not who you want to be. And
not who I want to be.
We are, of course, making light of something that really, and I guess that the emotional journey that you were on goes to show, is not really something that you kind of want to make light of in that moment. It was actually something hard. When you came out the other side, would you say there were lessons or learnings there for you as a white woman, maybe playing that role and coming out the other side of playing that role?
Oh yeah, I was thinking about that, and I think that it's eternal vigilance. I think that, I don't want to walk around a shop and even just ignore a group of kids, whoever they are. I just want to be more, anti-racist. I want to just make sure that it's like Jayshaun said, actually, at the end, when everyone does a little bit to the camera at the end of the film, and he says, it's gone on for too long. It's been going on for too long. And he's absolutely right. It's just been going on for too long. It's not boring, that makes it so nothing. It's just, can we not be like that anymore, society? Can we just not do it? It shouldn't be a thing.
Yeah.
I've lived in South London all my life, and it shouldn't be a thing.
Yeah. That leads me to a very interesting conversation because I guess, you know, the film has had as many views as it has, and I touched on it earlier. There's been clips that surfaced on TikTok, and the particular clip of you and the young people in the shop on TikTok, so I am told, I'm not down with the kids like that, but so I am told, is somewhere around 10.8 million views. And the comment section under that clip is quite split, actually. So there are obviously people who probably look like us who are saying this is very true. We're so glad this is being talked about. Something has to change. But then there's also a very big group of people who commented under it saying this is not real. This is exaggerated. This is not happening. So I want to ask maybe Sam and Nassar, because we heard earlier from Carlos and Cass that when you first workshopped the idea and when this topic of Karens came up, you both instantly felt like you had stories to share. What do you say to those people who say this isn't real, this is exaggerated? What are some of the experiences that you've had? Either one of you can start, Nassar or Sam.
So you go ahead.
Okay. No, sorry, you go because I did it yesterday.
Alright, cool. Well, so what happened was, me and Nassar went to Alton Towers with his sister and a group of people from his church. And what happened was, we were in a line to go on a ride, and the group of people was at front. The people that was with was at the front, and we went to the toilet. So when we came back, we was going through the line trying to get back to the people that was with, and then the lady stopped us, and she was saying, "No, you can't go through. You can't go through. This is truancy. You know, you're pushing through, trying to get to the front." And we were saying no, but we was with people. And then now, Naz's sister's boyfriend came and spoke to the lady and tried to resolve it calmly, but then she took it to heart, and she thought that we was trying to be disrespectful about it. And then she kind of just went ahead, and it became a big deal. And then there was a lot of shouting.
Oh, we lost you there. Do you want to carry on?
And then loads of people that I'm guessing they didn't know her because they were in different groups in the line.
Yeah.
They just started not attacking us, but they was trying to stop us, and they was basically defending her, but they didn't even know what the situation was. Yeah. So,
how did that make you feel?
It makes me feel why? Because we're just trying to we wasn't even trying to resolve it in a bad way. We were trying to do it calmly, and then all of a sudden, I think she just took it to heart, as Samuel said, and then she decided that she didn't want us to go and be with our group. So yeah, I just feel why, you know.
Cass and Carlos, when you heard those stories and when you pulled this out of, I guess, the young people, and this was the journey that you landed on, how was that for you? Because of course this was filmed last year, wasn't it?
Yeah.
You are two Black men who grew up in London, who live in London. How was that whole experience for you? As much as we're joking about the Karen statement and all those things, and what were you hoping to get out of making this film, talking about this?
For me, I felt that it was important to let these young people's voices be heard on this topic, because when I was 12 years old, I was attacked by a group of white children, older white children, and they literally, no reason, didn't know them. You know, I was on my way from home from East London, and I was with my little brother at the time, and these kids were taunting me. They spat at me, they kicked me, and no one did anything about it. And so I wanted to achieve something that young people today could actually understand, that, okay, so we don't have to take this on the chin. This is actually not okay, because the attitude that was shown to me when I was their age was, toughen up, this is what it is, you know. But it's actually, no.
Yeah.
It's not okay. It's not okay. And hearing Nassar and Samuel share their experiences, for me, it was actually quite hurtful. It was hurtful because I know what kind of people these boys are, and they don't deserve to be harassed and to be persecuted and to be treated as aggressors. And that is something I'm a massive champion of. Stop calling Black boys aggressive.
Yeah.
Don't do it. It cuts me. And not just that, it silences them. And when they're silent, things fester. When things fester, they find outlets that aren't necessarily the most positive. We are seeing it on these streets today. So by making this film, I wanted their voices to be heard. Mm-hmm. I also wanted to pay homage to that little boy inside of me, who didn't get a chance to have another adult say, okay, do you know what? Your voice is valid. Your voice is worth something, you know? And we still keep fighting today.
Yeah. Carlos, how was that for you? What did it mean to you?
For me, I second what Cass was saying. Second it 100%, because I feel, like I mentioned, the age thing, the age gap, people assume that it was back in the day, or racism don't happen, or it's not existent now. And I feel like I can say, as a young Black man in today's society, what you saw was my real life, and as opposed to Jayshaun, who was 12 at the time, it's his real life. So it shows that there's a large range of us who, we get told, like I said, we get told we're aggressive. We get told that we look threatening. What, because I'm wearing a tracksuit and a hoodie, you must now follow me around the shop. It's like, and I think it's crucial in this film that we showed, like, the incident happens between Geraldine and the guys, but then they go on about their day like nothing happened. And I think, as my truth, my reality is, that's what you have to do. There's so many places that I go for jobs, I go for interviews, I go for whatever I'm doing, and I have to just take on whatever someone's just told me and move on as if it didn't happen. And I think it kind of, hearing their stories made me realize we're being is that a word, dehuman? I don't know. They're making us dehumanized. Like, you're making me not realize, you're making me think that I'm not on the same level as you. As a young Black child, I know I have to work twice as hard as any person in the world. But having someone not listen to you or not believe you when you say you're innocent, it really does hurt me.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. Lolly, how was that for you, just while we're here, as the person capturing not just the actual acting that is going on, but setting the scene and telling a story with everything else that is going on around you? How was that for you? How did that connect to your lived experience? And what were you trying to do in setting up those scenes and the shots that you used?
Yeah, I mean, like, again, I can definitely relate to having a similar experience. I don't think there's a lot of us that don't have to experience that, even in, like, getting older into the workplace, it's the subtle things that happen to us that we just have to come into work the next day and act like nothing happened. But for me, being a filmmaker now and having the opportunity, I do take it as a responsibility that I have to tell stories. And in this, it was about making it true and relatable, and not just like creating, a kind of fake version. Like, we really spoke to the kids, and we really wanted to make sure that we captured the true essence of what it's like in today's age, to experience something like that. And I think, especially doing it in the times like around, that was obviously the time where BLM was really happening and that was going on, and obviously the conversation was brewing and it was happening at a time. It was even more of a reason, and it gave us all a purpose to make sure that we do this, and we make sure that it hits the way it needs to hit, and definitely speaking to Cass and Carlos, like, I definitely made sure that what I was capturing was how they visioned it, because it was very important to make sure we get it right. But it was very, telling stories like this, and especially from the perspective of a child, which is something that I've never heard of or seen. It was very important to capture it from their perspective, and I'm just glad that we had the opportunity to do this when we did.
Amazing. And you mentioned in one of the conversations we've had before that it was really important to you to involve and engage the community around the area, the families. Why was that important to you, and how did you do that? Like, what did that practically look like?
Yeah, I mean, we had a lovely screening before it came out online. We were able to hold like a kind of open outdoor theatre, and like we had a projector and we screened the film to the members of the community. And I think for us, not only working with Chips, who were obviously an organisation that are based in Brixton, but obviously the kids themselves, like some of them live in the estate and are from Brixton. So it was like it was almost like there was like a weight on my shoulders to make sure that we do this properly and that we make sure that we are depicting the area in a way that everyone is used to. Like, you know, because I think in a way we know that there's certain ways that media can portray certain parts of London to be rougher than others and so on and so forth. But these are everyday lives of people that live in the area. Like Carlos said earlier, sometimes people dehumanize people that look like us, but we are everyday people. We travel to work, we go to school, and we just really wanted to capture that. So in essence, for me, visually, it was predominantly in the opening sequence to make sure that we were catching little cutaways. So, you know, the police car that you see, the son and the mother walking home with their shopping, the little child on the balcony, those were all very key, significant parts that I had to put in the film so that you see that, okay, cool, you are brought into the world of what it's like to be someone that is in Angel Town or lives there.
Yeah, amazing. Thank you so much for sharing that. Again, I just want to say to everyone who maybe has just joined, thank you for being here. I'm talking to the cast and crew of What Happened to Karen, a short that if you haven't seen it yet, I don't really know what you're doing. And hopefully after this interview, you're going to go and watch it. It tells the story of young Black people in London and across the UK. And I'm here with the cast and crew. I want to come back to something that was mentioned earlier, and I actually want to talk to Jayshaun for a moment. Cass was saying that you are the one who got the shopkeeper to work with you all and actually even be in the film. Tell us a little bit more about how that came about. Did you know him? How did you manage to convince him? What was that process like?
So it was early. I think I got there a bit early. And I saw Carlos and Naomi. So Carlos drove us down to the shop. And then we went in. And the first shopkeeper, he didn't want to do it, too shy. And the boss came out. And I was speaking to him because I knew him. I was like, you should do it. He's like, really? I was like, yeah. He's like, I'm going to do it. And then it was just pretty easy to convince him.
Is it because you know him? Because you go to his shop a lot?
Yeah, I knew him, but not like that. But I think it's because I'm a very persuasive person.
A very persuasive person. Okay, I feel like, so you're the jokester and you're persuasive. I appreciate that. I appreciate that. That leads me to a question from the audience whilst we're talking about our shop experience, actually. Taz asked whether, if you're with us, whether sensations are actually your favorite crisps in real life. What was that whole crisp situation about?
I feel like in real life, I'm not addicted to sensations as I was in the film, but I feel like in the film, it was more of a symbol to saying, I'm just an innocent young kid. I just want to get my crisps and eat them normally like anyone else would. But, you know, things happened in the shop and then it was making me look like I was the culprit and things like that. And I guess it was just a symbol in that film, but yeah.
So what are your actual favorite crisps? Do you have any?
McCoy's.
Come on, McCoy's sweet chili.
Yeah.
Amazing. Thank you so much for sharing that. And we keep saying the name of the film, which is, of course, What Happened to Karen. We know that Geraldine's character was actually called Nicola in the film. How did you land on the name for the film? Because I know that there was a bit of a conversation, Carlos and Cass, between you two about the title. And also, I'm going to add an audience question to that because I feel like this is where we might get to. Someone in the audience, Rafi, asked Cass and Carlos, how was it working together, directing the film together? And was there any idea clashes? Was there?
Carlos, do you want to go first?
Okay, so where do we start? Honestly, making a film isn't as glitz and glam as it comes. So much has to happen behind the scenes. So much, and the question was, where do we come with the name? So
that's the first question, but then also, how did you work together? Was there any?
I can answer that. Cass and I had a very collaborative effort. Everything, Cass, between Lolly, myself, Kamika, all of us were very collaborative in terms of we worked together. Everything was together. However, our counterpart of that was we would be in sessions now, and the name What Happened to Karen came up because obviously everyone knows Karen. Everyone's familiar with the Karen in the room. Well, everyone at the time was familiar with the Karen in the room, and we kind of wanted it to be like a closed question. What happened to Karen? Because some people might say karma happened. That was not our intention to be karma, but we wanted it to be an open question of what happened to Karen. Simple as that. And I think during our rehearsal stages, each Cass, Kamika, another producer, and myself kept getting asked if that's what we wanted to settle with. And we kept getting asked to ask the cast. So when I hear someone say to me, "Are you sure that's what you want to do?" It's like, "Are you sure?" You're really questioning my reality. You're really telling me that this isn't facts. This isn't true. So we honestly heard it so many times. I can't go into a bit more detail because it really grinds my gears. So I'm gonna stop talking now. But yeah, it really angers me.
No, I'll tell you what. Okay, so. First of all, so about working with Carlos, it was, like he said, it was a very collaborative effort. I thoroughly enjoyed working with him. And we didn't have idea clashes. If either one of us had a suggestion, I think the way we did it was we first thought, how can we meet in the middle? And if there was an idea that just didn't fit, we just had to, respectfully just be like, it's not going to work, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah, and here's why. It's not just no, it was like, this won't work because da-da-da. So we never wasted time on clashing. Now, where there was a clash, and I'm going to go into detail now, where there was a clash was about the name. Now, the name came very organically, right? There wasn't like a specific moment where it's like, oh, that's it, And I remember like saying it out loud, in the car with Carlos, and then he was like, oh. And we were like, yeah, that's what it's called. That's what it's called.
Mm-hmm.
Now, it's important for you to know that on the day when I asked the kids who here has met a Karen, all the Black people in the room were like, oh my God, blah, 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 blah. And then the white people in the room were like, what
Karen?
What are you talking about? What's that? So upon educating them on what a Karen is,
you just muted yourself, Cass.
Upon teaching them what it is, they went to then sort of marinate on it, and then there was concern about the name. Would it be too offensive? Would it be too far afield to go with that? Based on the climate and everything, like Lolly says, we did this amidst all the BLM protests and things like that. So we had to fight. We had to fight to keep the name. We had to fight to keep the ending. Yeah,
you mute it again. Don't know what's happening there.
No, it's calling me. It was a thing where I had to particularly speak up and say the experiences that we are living are being depicted in this film.
Yeah.
And to dilute the name, to dilute the storyline, to dilute the ending is to do an injustice to every single day we woke up to go and do that job.
Yeah.
it was yes, it was a bone of contention, but again, it was handled respectfully. And in the end, you know, everybody was able to share their admiration for one another because we had values to stand up for, and every single one of us stood up for those values, especially myself, Carlos, and Lolly and Kamika. We really, really stood together. But again, I underline respectfully. It was respectful. We didn't have shouted matches. We didn't have effing and blinded and stuff like that. It was done with such respect and such care. You have to remember, Chips is a Christian organization. So, you know, those values have to be considered when we are disagreeing.
Yeah. I'm glad you landed on the name. I think it's so important and the message is getting across. I do wonder, Geraldine, with that name and with that question, now on the other side of it, now that the short's out, people are watching it, there are conversations about it. How would you answer the question? What is your answer to the question, what happened to Karen? What did happen to Karen?
Well, when she got knocked down at the end and the kids all come right to help her, that's her moment of having to realize that she was wrong about them. I mean, that's her having to question how she thought the world was.
Yeah.
You know, for the first time, maybe she realizes she might have got it wrong.
Yeah.
And maybe, you know, maybe there are people out there that need to hear that, need to think about that, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. It feels like that moment that Karen had feels like potentially a moment that many had last year. And so maybe that is why there's been some, you know, that sort of resonating with the film, why it's been viewed as much as it has and why it's been taken up as much as it has. Interesting. What happened to Karen? I want to come back to a number of audience questions that we've got here that are speaking a little bit more to the experience on set and the experience of filming and being together, age, the actual process of the production. Again, if you've just joined us, we're here talking about the short, What Happened to Karen? We've got a little bit more time together, so we're going to get through these questions. If you have any more questions, please make sure you pop them in the comments, and I'm going to ask our cast and crew to answer those for us. One question someone sent through, real practical question that I think is interesting, is how old was the young cast? So how old is everybody? Are you happy to share that? Ariana, do you want to start? How old's everyone?
At that time I was at 14. Right now I'm 15, but I'm going to be turning 16 this year, October. So yeah.
You can now say that you were on camera for a short at 14. How was that for you? And are you going to do any more acting going forward?
So yeah, there is more acting to do, but I don't really want to spoil it. But just stay tuned in it, okay? And I'm doing acting with Samuel and Nassar and Jayshaun as well, so they would know as well. Yeah. And at 14, when it was my first time to be acting, I was kind of like nervous, but like shy as well, because I've never done something like this as well, and I never knew it was going to be going like so big on social media as well, yeah, and going viral on TikTok.
Yeah. Amazing. So it must have been a great experience. Someone did ask who was the most shy on set. Was that you, do you think, or someone else?
I think it's me. I want to hear.
No, sorry, I want to interrupt that right there. Ariana was the best on set in terms of she learned her lines the quickest. Whenever we never had an issue with Ariana. She was always on job, always on time, always where she needed to be. She was. I wouldn't say she was the shyest, but she was the best behaved. That's the answer.
I don't know if she's the shyest though. I don't know. I want to hear from Samuel, Jayshaun, and Nassar. I want to hear their answers, but yeah.
We're going to hear what they say. But well done for doing so well. And I think I can speak on behalf of everybody when I say we can't wait to see what more you're going to do when it comes to acting, because you were, of course, brilliant. Let's keep going. Talking about age, how old was everybody? Jayshaun, how old were you? And also, who do you think was the shyest on set?
So I was the youngest on set. I was 12.
Oh, wow.
and this year I'm going to be turning 14.
Mm-hmm.
And who I thought who was the shyest on set. She's not here, but it was me.
Name again?
I said, even though she's not here, I think it was Renee that was the shyest.
Renee, he said. Would everybody else agree? Yes, no, maybe.
Yeah, I agree. I agree that Renee was the shyest, and but you wouldn't have noticed because Renee was working behind the scenes, helping Lolly, so she didn't have to present herself as much. But she doesn't like attention at all.
Which brings me to the fact that Lolly, and don't worry, Samuel and Nassar, I'm going to come back to you. But Lolly, is it right that you had a fully female camera crew?
Yes, that's correct. Yeah, we did.
About because from what I know about the industry, that is not always the case.
Yeah, definitely. I think for me, I'm a big advocate on being like on women that work in film. I have a platform myself and a podcast that really champions that. So as well as talking about it, I also make sure that that reflects. So in any opportunity that I have, if I can bring women on set, I will. So I was accompanied by two amazing women. We had Root, who was on sound design and sound operating, and Lauren, who was my assistant camera. So she helped me set up the camera and just like assist me, in getting all the shots and making sure that all the shots on the shot list were done. And I definitely champion it. And moving forward, I hope the industry goes that way forward because it's something that is very unique and very special.
Absolutely. What are those platforms called, Lolly? Sorry, Carlos, just real quick, in case any women are tuning in and they want to you.
Yes, so the platform is called Women Create 2. So it's on Instagram at Women Create 2. And there's a podcast which is available on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. We release every Wednesday.
Amazing. Sorry, Carlos, I interrupted you there.
All I was going to say is with what we did as well. So we had a group of young people who didn't want to be on in front of the screen, who was like Renee, and who was another girl called Zion, who Lolly did take on as a mentor. She shadowed them. And it's really interesting, like behind the scenes and how it works. So Lolly helped her like carry the camera. Lolly told like churches tried to push her, and then Zion was our AD, where she was like on that clapper, like she could like clap for nobody's.
Amazing.
But Lolly did really try to push the two girls to try become creative.
Yeah, it was really good. It was really good to have two younger women that were really interested in the industry and wanted to get into it, because that just gave them, again, the opportunity to really see what it's like. And just give them that stepping stone to say, great, they have this experience now on a film like this, and, it's even better that it's actually gone quite viral. So they have that on their CV now and can move forward with that. So providing all those opportunities for young people all the time is such a great thing to do.
Amazing. And that does lead me to what, of course, the platform we're on right now, and most of you will know this because you're actually watching on here, is that if you want to connect more, and we had a couple of questions around that, and want to get involved in projects like what happened to Karen and others, you need to connect with Million Youth Media. So subscribe, of course, to their work. Head over to their website. There's the MYM Academy as well that you can get engaged with. You can connect with them on social media, and there are more opportunities that you can connect with as well if you are a young person that is creative, whether it's in front of the camera or behind the camera. Get involved with what they do. But I want to hear from Nassar. How old were you? Who was the shyest in your opinion? And is there any more acting coming our way?
So at the time of filming, I was 14 years old, and in my opinion, I believe that Renee was the shyest.
Right.
And there's more acting, so there's more acting coming. So you'll just have to like wait and see.
Where am I going to see though? So how are we going to know when more acting is coming? How can people find out?
Just like probably like I don't even know. Just follow me on social media.
Okay. We will be sure to share that with everybody later. And Samuel, how old were you when What Happened to Karen was filmed. Who was shyest in your opinion, and is there more acting coming our way from you?
I feel like you know, yeah. At the time, I was 14, but now I'm 15 right now. And in my opinion, I think the shyest people were Ariana and Renee, because at times they would be engaged, but at the same time they would try and fall back. So yeah.
What do you mean when you say fall back?
As in, like, sometimes, like, when they were asked to do things, they might be a bit hesitant about it.
Okay. So Ariana, someone's backing you up here in terms of you being shy, but as we heard from Carlos, you were also on point. So big up yourself for that. Someone's just asked in the chat, will there be a sequel? What Happened to Karen 2?
So basically, I want to tell you about a time on set where I was actually injured during the show, during filming. Yeah, so I had to. So previously, I split my knee open, and I had to do the whole filming process with one injured knee.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Okay. So how how did you do that, and how does that link to our sequel?
How did I do that? One, I was just messing about in the park. I did the worm one day. This was a few weeks before filming, and I split my knee right open, and then got the job. Had to do the whole process from start to end, hopping along, limping. That was just so it was a challenge. It was a challenge on top of everything that was going on.
Yeah, I can imagine. And will there be a sequel? Will there be What Happened to Karen 2?
You're really not letting me avoid this question.
Yep.
I'll tell you, no.
Okay, so Carlos is like trying to avoid an answer. Cass is saying no. Is this something that you might have to discuss in your own time?
I believe that we have discussed it. My thing is this: when something is good, let it be good.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't, for me, it doesn't feel natural to do a sequel to this film. However, I am going to work with these kids again.
Amazing.
In fact, actually, since making the film, I became a volunteer at Chips. So they see me every Wednesday afternoon, and they still do my head in, but it's okay. And I'm gonna cast them in more things, and we're gonna tell some more real stories. I feel like we broke ice with What Happened to Karen. I'm so grateful to MYM, Amara, and the whole team were so supportive. And I've never seen a platform that understands young people the way that MYM does. Fantastic. So we have a good relationship. They have a whole pool of young people that we can also work with. So I believe that there is ground to create more stories, real stories, uncomfortable stories, joyous stories, scary stories, you name it. But I think we can safely put What Happened to Karen to bed.
To bed in terms of not doing a sequel, but everybody who's tuning in right now and who hasn't seen What Happened to Karen needs to go watch it, needs to tell their friends and family about it, share it, and keep pushing it. Now, Zion's been asking a couple of times now, and I have to ask this question at this point. We need to know, what was the number one funniest thing that happened on set in the time that you were together? So I need everybody to think about that. The funniest thing, but you need to be willing to share the story with everybody. I feel like Nassar has something to say on this. And Ariana. Ariana, you go first.
Oh, I feel like me and Nassar are thinking of the same thing, but all I'm going to say is a man in the balcony. If Nassar wants to explain that, then yeah.
Everybody's laughing. We need to hear this story.
Nassar, can you explain?
The story's called Yellow Top. That's what I did.
Yeah, so basically, while I was filming on the first day, there was a guy in the balcony, and you just shouting random words. and he was wearing the yellow top and he was doing random action and he was like, and it was just making us laugh. And everybody was laughing and we couldn't stop laughing.
So he basically just gave you guys a hilarious time, and it seems like we had to be there to really appreciate the hilarity of it. Cass,
Yeah,
did you?
he was basically trying to take Cass and Carlos's job, basically.
That's it. And he
That
was
was
there. He was
Yeah.
there trying to give.
He was trying to be a
direction.
Steven Spielberg. It's all right, but it didn't work.
Nice.
The kids found it funny. I was annoyed. I was absolutely annoyed because I'm just like, can you get back in your house? Because we've got a scene to finish. We need to move on.
I think that was the day he stopped talking to us because he just kept on laughing and we wouldn't stop. Even when it got to serious measures.
Yeah. No. I stopped talking to you guys before the filming started.
That seems to have really left an impression on everybody. The day where Cass stopped talking to people. Rosa Polsky has asked whether the young cast would like to be in more films, and I feel like we just heard from all of you, and the answer is pretty much yes. Is there anyone there who does not want to do more acting from our young cast? Nassar is doing more, Jayshaun's doing more, Ariana is doing more, Samuel is doing more. Am I getting that right?
Yes.
Yes, fantastic. So Mr. A is asking, and this is maybe a question for young people, but it would be really great as well to hear actually from you, Geraldine. You have acting is not new to you. You've got a bit of a journey. And Mr. A is asking, what advice would you give young people who are trying to get roles, who are trying to get into acting? Maybe we start with you, Geraldine, and then anyone else who wants to add. You're muted.
Sorry. There are a lot of actors out there. You have to really want to do it more than you want to do anything else.
Right.
I remember being at drama school and being asked, what are you going to do when you're not acting to earn money? So literally everyone had to come up with another job they were capable of doing, you write a business plan for it, that sort of thing. 2% of equity members are in work at any one time, all of that. So if none of that puts you off, go for it. But,
you have to want it more than anything.
You really want it more than anything else, yeah.
Carlos, what are you going to say?
I think, if you really want it, you'll happen. And I think don't let anyone tell you you're too young to do anything or you're bad at anything. If you truly believe in yourself that you're great, and you will search and you'll search and you'll search, it will come for you. I think people as well, just try and look. For you to be able to do anything in the world, you have to look. And Matthew 7:7, God says, seek and you'll find, ask and you'll receive. So if you don't ask, if you don't seek, you will knock and the door won't open. But if you do knock, the door will open.
So you basically it won't just drop into my lap. I actually have to go do something for it. Would you agree with that, Cass?
I do agree. My advice is being super proactive, not just proactive, super proactive. Learn as many aspects of the game as you can. If you want to act, that's wonderful, but it doesn't hurt to learn about producing. It doesn't hurt to learn about directing. And my goodness, it definitely doesn't hurt to learn about writing. For those of you who want to act and you haven't started yet, I want you to know that your story is the most important story you're ever going to tell. And for every role you're going to take on, you're going to be sharing a piece of that beautiful you story. But I encourage you to take it a little bit further and be creative. Even if if you feel like it's garbage what you're writing, start flexing those muscles, because we're living in a world where you're at the mercy of someone else's yes or no. And what happens is when you learn production, when you learn direction, when you learn writing, when you learn to be humble and collaborate, you can actually create work for you and your peers. And that's what we've done. We've been able to create work. At my own company, we have an internship program for young people who are young actors, but we get them through writing. We've got a young person who's created an entire series. He's written, and this guy, he struggles with dyslexia. and he is not a big fan of education, and he's an aspiring actor. So he was like, you know, his mum asked me, excuse me, can you take this boy, because I don't know what to do, kind of thing. And she works in education. And you know what? We managed to fight those barriers of that are caused by dyslexia. And now he's just always churning ideas. But you know what? Now he's giving opportunities to his friends. He's just 20. He's just turned 20. So I urge you to be creative, be super proactive, because if you can then create, and when you learn about different aspects, you can collaborate with other people. Be humble and collaborate with other people so you can create opportunities for yourselves and your friends.
Amazing. And I want to again remind everyone who has just listened to that, and maybe you've just tuned in a minute ago, if this is something you want to do, we had a couple more questions. Jasmine asked as well, will there be more castings for productions like this, etc.? Definitely connect with all the different initiatives that have been mentioned today. And first and foremost, of course, we are on Million Youth Media's platform. So make sure you connect with them. You connect with MYM Academy. There are drop-in master classes that you can participate in. There are more projects coming up, and you can connect with them on social media as well. We are coming to the end of our time together. If someone in the audience has another burning question, now's the time to send it through. We've answered all the other ones so far, so go ahead and send it through for the last few moments that we have. But I want to give an opportunity for everyone to share one piece of advice. We've kind of come in and out of the conversation that surrounds the topic of what happened to Karen. We've talked both about, of course, the practicalities of making a film and everything that kind of led to the project, but we also talked about, and of course must continue to talk about, the content of the film. And so I want to ask everybody on this call, what's the one piece of advice that you want to give to someone who watches this short and is moved by it, whether they are a young Black person who sees themselves in that experience, or whether they are a white woman who maybe isn't sure whether she's been acting like a Karen, or anyone in between? What's the one piece of advice that you want to give? And we're going to give everybody an opportunity to answer that question. And then we're going to tell everybody how they can connect with you and come to the end of our conversation. Carlos, I can see you're ready to go. What's the one piece of advice that you would give to people who feel moved after seeing this short?
My thing would be highly to not dismiss that this stuff does happen. Please don't dismiss it happens. And I believe that together as Black and white people, there will be peace eventually, and there will be a time where we're all in harmony. But especially young Black people, let's see it as, let's not be anti-white. Let's not be against white people. Let's educate. Vice versa. If you're not from any background where you feel like you deal with this, please do ask questions. Don't feel like you have to, it's an uncomfortable conversation, but do feel like you can speak to someone of the counterpart and ask, am I doing this? What can I do differently? Simply asking that question will change your whole perspective in life.
Amazing. Thank you for sharing that. Jayshaun, what's the one thing that you would share, that piece of advice that you would give people? You have to unmute.
How to get into acting?
No, a piece of advice to anyone who watched the film and felt moved by it. Anyone who felt like they learned something from watching the film and now they want to go make a difference. What's the one piece of advice you would give them?
Like, put it out there. So say you want to go out there and basically like, see how people shout the Bible, like the gospel, like share it out to the world. That's what I'm trying to do.
Thank you. How about you, Ariana? What's the piece of advice that you would give?
I would say that if you're in a certain situation, like what happened to Karen, I say that you remain calm, and you should remind yourself that everyone has the right to speak up and to use their voice, and to also, like as Carlos said, to educate each other as well.
Yeah. Amazing. Nassar, what would you say? What's your one piece of advice?
I would say,
Shut up, Nassar.
Jayshaun, mute your mic.
I just muted him. Nassar, what would you say?
I would say, my one piece of advice I would
My
give
bad,
to
my bad.
people, I would say the one piece of advice I would give to people is just try and try and make a connection. Like try and start from somewhere. Because if you don't start from somewhere, then you're not gonna make it, you know. So like you need to try and, make something for yourself. Yeah, if that makes sense.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing that. Samuel, are you with us still? How about you? What's the one piece of advice that you would give someone who's moved after seeing what happened to Karen?
Sorry guys, but I feel like one piece of advice I should give someone who was moved by what happened to Karen is just keep on dreaming, and especially like whenever they get stopped by a situation like this, it's good to watch it because it's like an instruction manual and it teaches them how to deal with the situation sometimes. Like especially when they get dragged up, for example, like what I did, you can get help from like the shopkeeper or someone else, and yeah.
Yeah, amazing. Lolly, how about you?
I would just say treat others how you would like to be treated. And also, I think don't ever feel like, obviously, the world is how it is, but the change starts from you. So do what you can do, the small part that you can play in the world, and just, yeah, try to make it a better place by being great source of energy towards other people and being kind.
Amazing. Geraldine, how about you?
Yeah, be kind, don't judge, don't expect people to behave how you think they should behave, because we're not, there are many ways of behaving that are all valid and wonderful. Just be a bit more engaged with people, all sorts of people. That's not one thing, is it? I think kind and not judging.
Amazing. Thank you. Yes. And last but most certainly not least, Cass, what is the one piece of advice that you would give people?
My advice to all those who've watched what happened to Karen and are moved by it is this. An open mind is free. And it is freeing to have an open mind. If you can meet people where they are, then you are more likely to learn something new. If you can apply patience when dealing with other people, it's not the easiest thing to do, but it's like a spiritual, like moral education, and it can build your fortitude in a way that you cannot get from studying at school or going to church or mosque or whatever. So an open mind is free to have, and it is freeing to have an open mind. And I want you to remember that, because being restrained with hate and judgmentalism and bigotry and just all this really murky stuff, it causes us to stagnate, and things that are stagnant are usually dead. Yeah. So be alive, and to do that, have that open mind, because to have an open mind is free, and it is freeing to have an open mind.
Open mind. What a wonderful end to what has been a brilliant conversation. To have an open mind is free, and it is freeing to have an open mind. Thank you all so much. Thank you everybody for joining today's Q&A, for tuning in, for listening. If we didn't get to your question, I am so sorry, but here's what you need to do. You need to connect with everybody whom you saw today, and the best way to do that is be sure to follow Million Youth Media on social media, and you will see everybody who was here tagged in different posts, so you can connect with them on social media. Be sure to subscribe to MYM. Be sure to watch what happened to Karen. If you haven't yet, share it with your friends and with your family. Again, I've said it before, if you want to get involved in projects like this that are coming up, then make sure you check in with MYM Academy as well, so you can be a part of it. We want to say thank you so much to everyone, to cast and crew. Before I wrap up fully, I can see Carlos wanting to desperately say something, even though we're over time, but there you go. Go, Carlos.
Sorry. I know we're over time, but this is a surprise to the cast. They don't know this, but I have submitted you guys into a film festival called Wagwan Film Festival, where this will be streaming on April the 12th. Yeah, here you go. So please follow Wagwan Film Festival, where you will see what happened to Cameron and many more things.
Nassar, did you even hear this? You weren't even paying attention.
I was.
Well done, everyone. So again, in the audience, if you're tuning in, make sure you get engaged as well with Wagwan Film Festival. What Happened to Karen is going to be there. So let's all stay connected, and thank you all once again for tuning in. My name was Jess. It was my absolute pleasure to host this conversation about what happened to Karen, and we'll see you all in the social media universe. Say bye, everybody. You can unmute.
Bye, everyone. Thank you so much.
Bye, everyone.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Yeah.
Bye. Bye.
Well done, everyone. So again, in the audience, if you're tuning in, make sure.
Thank you very much, Jess. I don't know if we're still alive. Oh, we are still alive.
On YouTube.
Carlos.
If you're still watching, we're just wrapping up, waiting for Amara to help us out. But thank you so much for being here today. Carlos, one last word of wisdom while we're here, ending.
Peace, love, and harmony, guys. Thank you.
See you later.
See you later. Bye, everybody. Thanks again.